It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the Pittsburgh School District announces its COVID-19 protocols ahead of the start of the school. We'll have details.
Be nice if the clouds would part just a little bit, but at the same point in time, that helps out with our temperatures. However, we'll tell you why the umbrella should probably go in the back of the car today. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we find out how the Angels Among Us Cafe is raising money for local cancer patients. All that and more coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Pittsburgh School District officials unveiled their reopening plan. Pittsburgh schools will start the year with COVID-19 restrictions in place and will require all students, staff, and visitors to wear masks. With the current spike in cases, the Crawford County Health Department attributes to the Delta variant. School board says they want to keep everyone as safe as possible in school.
But yet have some COVID restrictions, which includes the masks, social distancing, making sure that we keep up with our sanitation procedures, different things like that, just to make sure that we are not spreading any more of the virus than what potentially could be.
These new restrictions are set to take place until at least October 1st. The school board says they will remain in constant communication with the Crawford County Health Department for guidance on restrictions. Chanute, Kansas Public School District releases its plans for dealing with COVID during the coming school year. For starters, the district says masks covering the mouth and nose will be worn at all times by students and staff in any school building. Visitors will not be allowed to participate in lunch. Temperature checks will be required for students and staff as they enter school buildings, and the district will have alternative learning for quarantined students. Kids are heading back to school, and a new survey shows that parents are spending more. A new KPMG survey indicates parents will spend around $270 per child this year when it comes to school-related costs. That's a $20 increase from 2020. Yesterday evening in Galena, Kansas, hundreds of parents saved money on school supplies when they stopped by the First Baptist Church of Galena, picked up backpacks filled with back-to-school essentials. The church was able to raise money for 320 fully stocked backpacks that were handed out to families from all over the four-state area. Organizers say the event is in its third year and is even more popular in 2021 with school costs on the rise.
It would cost me anywhere from $65 to $100 per student. And, it's even more expensive today than it was when my kids were in school. So, it feels good to be able to lighten the burden on the parents today, especially during this pandemic.
Especially with Corona and everything, it helps. It helps in different ways, but yeah, for like paying bills and stuff.
Backpacks were given out to parents via drive-through system because of the pandemic. Organizers say they're already preparing for next year when they hope to give out at least 500 backpacks. Voters in Columbus, Kansas pass a more than $14 million school bond. That money will go towards renovating Columbus High School, adding 4 new classrooms and adding safe rooms to the high school and Central Junior High. Columbus superintendent says when the work is complete, the high school will be a campus for 7th through 12th grades. Highland Elementary will close and the Central campus will be for 2nd through 6th grades. More than 154,000 Oklahomans have qualified for Medicaid under an expansion of the program approved by voters. That's according to the Oklahoma Health Care Authority. Of those, nearly 91,000 live in urban areas and about 63,000 in rural Oklahoma. About half are between 19 and 34 years old. Officials say they suspect many more Oklahomans are eligible for benefits but still need to apply. Oklahoma voters narrowly approved a constitutional amendment last year to expand eligibility for benefits. Kansas reports its tax collections in July were 11% greater than expected. The State Department of Revenue says Kansas collected nearly $603 million in general tax revenues last month. Its official forecast predicted $543 million. State Revenue Secretary says consumer spending on goods and services has not slowed down, but he added that department economists are watching to see whether a steady increase in new COVID-19 cases because of the Delta variant hurts the economy. Garth Brooks plans on continuing with his concerts in Kansas City and Nebraska, but decided not to sell tickets for a show in Seattle later this year. Arrowhead Stadium officials announced concert goers attending the Kansas City show on Saturday are now being asked to bring a mask. Guests have to mask up when in an enclosed area of the stadium, but masks are only recommended outside. City of Kansas City also entices concert goers to get vaccinated, hosting a vaccination event ahead of the show with a chance to win upgraded premium floor seats for 2. They're expecting 70,000 people at the concert Saturday night. A local service dog organization is hosting a poker run fundraiser. The Saber Life Foundation was founded by the family of a girl from Pineville, Missouri, who has a debilitating condition and needed a service dog. Foundation helps cover some of the cost of getting a service dog, which can run more than $18,000. So they're raising money through the Pipes for Pups Poker Run, which will run 150 miles through Arkansas and Missouri.
Started with our daughter that she needed a service dog, and so we started fundraising for her at local events in our community selling dog treats. And so once we were meeting so many people that needed a service dog, knew somebody that needed one or had one, we decided at that point that we wanted to pay it forward once we got our daughter's service dog paid for.
Poker Run will be on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. There'll be prizes including a raffle for a new Harley-Davidson motorcycle. It'll cost you an out-of-this-world price to stay at Disney World's new and long-awaited Star Wars Hotel. Disney revealed pricing for its Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel. Rates vary depending on the date of your stay and extras, but the pricing module is similar to that of Disney's cruise ships. It's a set price for your stay, and admission to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Food and beverages, except for alcohol, are included. A sample cabin rate for 2 nights at the hotel for 4 people is $6,000. Wow. Disney calls it a revolutionary and immersive Star Wars experience. Are you kidding me? $6,000 for 4? Hotel opens next spring.
It better be it better be a life-changing experience for that price tag.
Wow. Did it say how many nights you get to stay there?
It was wasn't it 2 nights?
2 nights, 4
Right.
people.
$6,000.
It does say food is included, but it probably is like food at the hotel, not like.
Right.
I wonder if they give you vouchers at the parks, because you're going to want to eat when you're out and about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also too,
On a cruise ship, you only get to eat on the ship.
I
for that
swear,
price.
if I'm paying that price tag, when I walk out of my hotel room, the Imperial March better strike up every time I'm walking down the hallway. And not only that, I want the guards behind me. Like I want the Imperial March going. I want stormtroopers following behind me. Connolly, are you on board with this?
And there
I'm
better
getting
be
a thumbs
a
up from Jesse.
lightsaber
He's
battle
cool with it.
every 10 feet. Someone's conducting some sort of a lightsaber battle.
Right. Like if I turn a corner, there better be a lightsaber fight going on.
Like there's one going on as you enter your room, because they're like
That'd be a little
clearing
bit
your
weird.
room out.
That'd be a little bit weird.
Okay. So not in your bathroom either.
Right. Now to each their own. You do you.
I just want to make sure my room is protected.
I won't keep the lightsabers out of the room.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, we'll do it. Wow. You just gave me an easy transition on that one, didn't you? You just hung me out to dry.
Okay, so
I was waiting for you to throw like the dead fish at me or something like that, just make me duck.
And now for the weather.
And now I bring you the weather. No matter where we turn, Tanya, I was actually hunting for some blue sky here to kind of show, hey, it's going to break up a little bit. Look at this. If we just pan all the way around 7th and Rangeline, no, it's just one of those cloudy beginnings. Current conditions over Joplin sit at 69 degrees. I guess that thing's not going to stop. This is great. This is wonderful live television.
Well, a lightsaber battle to stop the camera at this
I
moment.
thought it was going to stop. Folks, if you can't forgive us for having a good time on a Thursday, she'd been gone for 3 days. She had some well-deserved vacation. And, we have a tendency to have some fun around here. I got to get this thing to stop before engineering gets mad at me. Temperatures right now.
By the way, behind the scenes, it's still going.
No, I got it just now.
It just stopped.
70 degrees right now in Chanute, 69 in Neosho, 67 in Miami. We do have a little bit of cloud cover and a little bit of rain as well. Let's focus in right here on the far western edge. But really, the majority of the 4 states is going to be dry this morning. However, throw the umbrella in there because coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk about our afternoon rain chances. Don't worry about temperatures. 84, about our average high today.
All right, up next, Missouri's Attorney General challenges Kansas City's mask mandate in court. Why he says it's constitutional. And foreign visitors may soon need to show proof of a COVID vaccine before they enter our country. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The Biden administration creates a plan that mandates vaccinations for nearly all foreign visitors to the U.S. That's according to a White House official who adds some exceptions will be made. Work on this plan is in the early stages, and an official announcement is not expected soon. There haven't been any changes to the current travel restrictions due to the Delta variant of COVID-19, but federal officials are developing a strategy for when they will be lifted. Nearly 1/4 of all patients at Cox Health in Springfield are COVID-19 patients. With about 175 COVID patients currently admitted, the latest numbers shed light on how the Delta variant will play out in the Ozarks. After breaking another record over the weekend, COVID inpatients are slightly lower at Cox this week, partly due to 14 deaths reported from Friday to Monday. The hospital president predicts the Springfield area will reach a peak soon due to vaccinations and temporary immunity. Bailey Stroll has more.
Some theorize that as rapidly as the spike goes up, it might go down. But we're not counting on that. We're preparing for numbers to keep growing, but hoping they don't.
Staff at Cox Health emotionally drained by the effects of the Delta variant. President Steve Edwards reports in the hospital's COVID-19 ICU, patients have just a 60% survival rate.
We care for all people, but when it's someone that's 90, it feels different than someone that's 40. Someone that comes in with tan lines from being at the lake, and now they're on a ventilator.
Edwards says what's most alarming is the Delta's infection rate. With the original virus, every person infected on average infected about 2 other people.
With this variant, if it might be as high as 9, 6 generations of that is approaching 60,000. And so I've heard people say, well, I didn't get it the first time, so I think I'll be okay. And I think the lesson is if you didn't get the first time, you're going to get it this time.
He says the options now are vaccination or illness. Edwards says maybe the only advantage of being one of the first hotspots for the Delta is having quick access to staff and equipment.
Because we've been able to secure resources when there's been less competition for resources. Now hospitals are scrambling for support. I don't think they'll find many travelers because the demand for them is so high right now.
And as we look ahead, Cox Health says it's preparing to reach 220 COVID-19 patients this month.
And part of our thinking is if we get through this big peak, we still want to be prepared because other communities took care of our community. And we'd like to do the same for them if we must to help them because we owe it to the rest of the state.
Cox Health brought in an additional 250 staff. Edwards says it is not enough. Another 30 traveling nurses and 7 emergency-based physicians are now on their way to Springfield. Mattel unveils 6 new Barbie dolls to honor individuals leading the fight against COVID-19. These one-of-a-kind dolls feature the likeness of Amy O'Sullivan, a nurse who treated the first COVID-19 patient in Brooklyn and became ill herself. Dr. Audrey Sue Cruz, an Asian American physician who helped fight racial bias and discrimination, Professor Sarah Gilbert, who helped develop the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and Dr. Jacqueline Goes de Jesus, who led the genome sequencing of Brazil's COVID-19 variant. And finally, Dr. Kirby White, who developed a doctor's gown that could be laundered and reused. The Barbie dolls are part of Mattel's Thank You Heroes program.
It'd be pretty cool to have a doll with your, all I've ever thought about was like if I had a bobblehead like that.
I know.
It's
I
the bobblehead. This is awesome.
I've been on the
How great
bobblehead
is
game
that?
too, waiting for our bobbleheads, Michael.
Well,
But
we're not as important as those people that you just named off.
if we had a Barbie and Ken doll, though,
Mark my words, those people save lives. You and
Yes.
I, we have fun.
We'll stick.
We
to
try
the
to put a smile on your
Hey.
face. That's our
Hey.
job.
That's having fun is deserving of a bobblehead, right?
I don't think a bobblehead would be great. Live look outside of 7th and live look outside of Television City right there. I thought we just had a break in the sky, and then sure enough, by the time we get to take the camera full, it gets covered up by the clouds. Whole bunch of high 60s, low 70s, a little bit of rain here on the far western edge of southeast Kansas. No lightning, thunder, and the rains remain relatively light. Big cutoff low, that's the circle that you see on the left-hand side of your screen right here. And then it's a split jet stream because the rest of it runs up the east coast. But as far as thunderstorm activity, you'll notice while it sweeps through the 4 states, that's not even the marginal category. That is simply an indicator of some afternoon showers. Temperature is going to top out in the low 80s today. Throw the umbrella in the back because in between, say, noon and 6 p.m., you do see it pop up. But here's the nice thing. It's quick. We don't even see any yellow or orange. And also, too, the ground is so dry that it'll gobble that precipitation right up. It's not going to stick around by any means. Then as we head toward the 7-day forecast, get ready for the heat because we're back into the 90s by the weekend. We'll be back. Leah Mandelbaum and I are going to make a trip out to the Crawford County Fairgrounds right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We're out here at the Crawford County Fairgrounds just outside of Girard. Fair's going to run all the way until Sunday, and I tell you what, coming off of what we had last year, we are right now inside the Angels Among Us Cafe and fortunate enough to be joined by the marvelous Jan Ali. Jan, thank you so much for your time because behind us right now, you've already got a line of people.
Right.
People may be familiar with Angels Among Us. They may be familiar with the wonderful food that you have. Why is this so important to Angels Among Us? What happens at the fair?
We raise money for cancer patients. We're nonprofit. This is actually the 21st year for Angels Among Us. The 14th year at the fair. Should have been the 15th,
right,
but with the pandemic. And it's just important because we help so many people. This is our biggest money maker.
And specifically, when Jan talks about helping people that are fighting cancer,
financially,
exactly what do these people benefit from? How does Angels Among Us specifically help these?
We try to help them with gas cards, any finance expenses that they might incur that they can't take without insurance, or even if they have insurance, food, their gas bills, just anything that. And at Christmas time, we really try to help families so they can have a happy Christmas.
And the amazing thing about it is everybody that you see here, they're volunteers. They're doing this out of the goodness of their heart as all that money helps those cancer patients. Jan, what was it like to not be able to take advantage of the fair last year, and how does it feel to be back? Number one, running the cafe like you do, but number two, knowing that you're helping people out.
Right. You know, we took a big hit last year because our this is our bigger one. And then at Christmas time, we do a lot of Christmas parties for companies, and we couldn't do those either. So we took a big hit. And, you know, like I said somewhere, the pandemic stopped a lot of things, but it didn't stop cancer. So it's just good that we're back together. It's a wonderful group. We haven't seen some of these people for a year either. So, you know, we have fun. We have some rough times through here, but we're making it, and it's just good to be back and happy.
It has felt like a reunion out here in the Angels Among Us Cafe, renowned for the wonderful fried chicken that they have, and also, too, with it heating up this weekend, you're going to want to find a place to cool off. Jan, coming back to the whole pandemic off of last year, I understand that people also have a unique opportunity if they want to take advantage of a vaccine option that's just down the road.
Yes. We made vouchers. If you get your vaccine here out at the fair, the nurses will give you a voucher. They date it, and you can bring it in here for a free meal.
Jan Ali from the Angels Among Us Cafe. Jan, number one, thank you for your time. Number two, congratulations to you. And remember that every dime that you spend here is ultimately helping cancer patients in need. Because as Jan said, hey, the pandemic may have stopped Angels Among Us for 1 year as far as the cafe goes. It did not stop cancer. Jan, thank you so much for your time. We're going to come back and talk about vaccines and the opportunity to get them here at the Crawford County Fairgrounds right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Joe Fry, who served in the United States Army from 1942 to 1945. He fought in Europe during World War II. A combat engineer, his hometown, Girard, Kansas. We are proud to salute Joe Fry, our four-state hero. Well, a mask mandate fight is brewing. This after Missouri's Attorney General sued Kansas City on Tuesday. The suit alleges the city's mask mandate is unconstitutional. Sharifa Jackson has more.
The mask debate is not only dividing the city.
Absolute agreement with the mask mandate.
I would drive half an hour to not have to wear a mask.
But now the state, 7 counts in this 30-page lawsuit filed in Jackson County Circuit Court by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt. According to the lawsuit, he says the latest mask mandate is unconstitutional and vague, and that Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas does not have the authority to authorize such a move.
We issued a mask order because we wanted to keep Kansas City safe. We issued a mask order because we started to hear from business, conventions, and conferences who said that they weren't comfortable coming to Kansas City and Missouri.
Most importantly, Lucas says it's guidance by the CDC, something he believes the AG is ignoring, especially when it comes to children. According to the lawsuit, the AG says the risk of severe illness to COVID-19 and transmission to school-aged children is low.
This is about getting clicks. This is about getting attention. It is not about saving lives.
Lucas adds the city has issued 10 orders without interference from the Attorney General. While the AG plans to push towards invalidating the mask mandate in Kansas City, Lucas says they'll fight this lawsuit, and he's positive they'll win.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a life-saving invention.
One inventor's machines are turning air into clean drinking water. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at how science is saving lives coming up.
And Dollar General recalls a lawn chair following reports of amputations. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
4 States' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Pittsburgh school district officials unveil their reopening plan. Pittsburgh schools will start the year with COVID-19 restrictions in place and will require all students, staff, and visitors to wear masks. These new restrictions are set to continue until at least October 1st. The school board says they will remain in constant communication with the Crawford County Health Department for guidance on restrictions. The Chanute, Kansas Public School District also releases its plans for dealing with COVID during the coming school year. For starters, the district says masks covering the mouth and nose will be worn at all times by students and staff in any school building. Visitors will not be allowed to participate in lunch. Temperature checks will be required for students and staff as they enter school buildings, and the district will have alternative learning for quarantined students. Well, kids are heading back to school, and a new survey shows parents are spending more. A new KPMG survey indicates parents will spend around $270 per child this year when it comes to school-related costs. That's a $20 increase from 2020. Last night in Galena, Kansas, hundreds of parents saved money on school supplies when they stopped by the First Baptist Church of Galena and picked up backpacks filled with back-to-school essentials. The church was able to raise money for 320 fully stocked backpacks that were handed out to families from all over the 4-state area. And voters in Columbus, Kansas, Tuesday passed a more than $14 million school bond. That money will go towards renovating Columbus High School, adding 4 new classrooms and adding safe rooms to the high school and Central Junior High. Columbus superintendent says when the work is complete, the high school will be a campus for 7th through 12th grades. Highland Elementary will close, and the Central Campus will be for 2nd through 6th grades. Arkansas is revving up COVID testing as infection rates surge across the state. One hospital in Little Rock administered about 500 tests on Monday. That's up from an average of 380 tests per day the previous week. Workers there say it's important to get tested because early detection helps them administer therapies that can reduce the chances of hospitalization. Experts say even people who have been vaccinated should get tested if they've been exposed to the virus or are showing symptoms. California's largest active wildfire, the Dixie Fire, has been burning for nearly 3 weeks in remote mountains, and it got even bigger on Wednesday due in part to recent hot, dry weather. Officials said the wildfire prompted mandatory evacuations for some communities in Plumas County, including popular resort area. As of Wednesday morning, the Dixie Fire had burned more than 274,000 acres in Butte and Plumas counties. According to CAL FIRE, it was 35% contained. Dixie Fire is now the 8th largest fire in California history.
And the Dixie Fire, a large reason why we've had the hazy skies here ever since the weekend, is all that particulate matter. It's just a fancy term for the smoke and the ash. Gets up in the atmosphere and makes its way all the way through the Midwest. It's going to make its way to the East Coast. You know, we've seen those days with we had 14 states, isn't that right? We had 14 states at one point in time that had wildfires in them.
Right.
Yeah, so as everything drifts through, I'll give you an idea exactly where the Dixie Fire is right here. It's just to the north of Sacramento, and unfortunately there's a town called Paradise right there of all things. But yeah, it's in the Chico, just to the northeast there, in between Chico and Belden is where that fire is burning right now. Now, our haze isn't going to be as prolific as what it's been the past couple of days. Number one, you're not going to really notice it because of the cloud cover, but here's great news. When we go to the old map of air quality, airnow.gov is where you have to go. We've really seen everything recede down to the south as far as the danger areas, and the yellow's not bad. The yellow's just kind of a warning for people with asthma, COPD. That smoke and ash, it is still lingering, but we were picking up the orange, even the red category here earlier in the week. So we're certainly headed in the right direction. Really by tomorrow, everything should push down to the south of us and we'll be in the clear. Whole bunch of 69s and 68s on the board. Now we've got some additional 70s. Chinook's been there all morning long, but Lamar and joining Nevada up around 70 degrees as well. Let's go ahead and fast forward to Future Track here and talk about our chances for some afternoon rain. This is why I would just throw the umbrella in the car. That way you got it. It's not widespread and it's quick from about, say, noon to 6 p.m. So it does last a little longer than what we've had the past couple of days, but our ground's going to quickly absorb it. Now, by the time we get to the weekend, then we can concentrate on the good old-fashioned heat because it's going to be the 90s all the way into next week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News and a return trip to the Crawford County Fairgrounds right after this. The KOAM Morning News. Earlier enough, we caught up with Jan Eli over at the Angels Among Us Cafe. We're here at the Crawford County Fairgrounds, ready for the fair that runs all the way until Sunday. And Jan was talking about a unique opportunity that you can take advantage of when you come out. And that's the fact that if you stop by the particular booth that I'm at right now, you can actually end up with a voucher for the cafe. And that's where we pick up Briley Rooms. Briley, thank you so much for joining us. Briley is a member of the Crawford County Health Department and actually the head of immunizations as far as the county goes. And Briley, tell me exactly what you've got going on here at the tent that is just a stone's throw away from the Angels Among Us Cafe.
So we were lucky enough, Jan reached out to us. She said, we would like to give you some vouchers so people get their vaccines. They can come get free chicken. And we were all about that. We thought that was great. It's really great that they wanted to help us, and we are helping the community by getting them vaccinated.
It's a little bit curious because people may think, well, a vaccine, I've got to call my doctor, I've got to make an appointment, I've got to schedule times and places to do everything. But your sign right here simply says all you got to do is come see us.
Yes, all you have to do is walk up. We have Pfizer, so we can vaccinate those 12 and up. We will have you come back in 3 weeks to the health department for the second dose. Quick and easy, maybe takes 5 minutes.
So that was going to be my next question because we all know that we need 2 doses of the vaccine. And so do I leave with a card, a reminder? How does that work? I keep that in the back pocket that I go, oh, I need to come back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yes. So we will give you a card when you leave. We write your return date on the back, and then you just come into the health department, walk in, get your second dose.
And I understand that you have prizes available.
Yes.
You guys are pulling out all the stops. What do you got cooking there?
We have free wristbands for the bouncy house, and we have free wristbands for the rodeo.
So, tell you what, you guys are doing it up right. So, number one, if you come get a vaccine here at the Crawford County Health Department, you're going to walk away with a voucher for the Angels Among Us Cafe. And the prizes include the wristbands to get the kids on the bouncy house and also a wristband to get in the rodeo. Briley Rooms. Briley, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you're doing here for Crawford County. Remember, Crawford County Fairgrounds right out here outside Girard runs all the way until Sunday, and we'll have more KOAM Morning News for you when we return right after this.
Hi, I'm Scott with Windows for Less.
On the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, the coronavirus pandemic paving the way for more remote work opportunities. Americans who have grown to prefer working from home are in luck as those opportunities have increased some 1,000% in 2021. Now go back to March of 2020, you had 7,000 of those job listings. You now have 80,000 remote job listings. Our question for you this morning on our Insta poll, where do you prefer to work from? It's been relatively tight the entire morning. 46% say remote, 49% say the office. Now, a distant third is evidently nobody wants to split time between the two. It's either at home or you want to be in the office. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Tanya?
Dollar General recalls about 155,000 lounge chairs amid consumer reports of amputations, lacerations, and pinching of fingers. True Living sling loungers feature white frames with solid blue or solid green fabric. They were sold at the discount retailer between January and September of 2019 for about $20. So far, Dollar General has received 3 reports of the sling loungers collapsing, resulting in amputations or lacerations to fingers from the chair's metal folding joints. UPC number for the impacted loungers can be found on your receipt. If you purchase these loungers, you're advised to stop using them immediately and contact your Dollar General for a full refund. Budget airline Spirit reported a 4th straight day of massive flight disruptions. American Airlines is also reporting some issues. All this as the travel industry reports a surge in summer travel. Mandy Gaither has a closer look.
Canceled, delayed, rescheduled. Massive flight disruptions creating chaos at airports around the country.
It's a lot of upset people here right now. The man's flying for a funeral and his flight got canceled out of Atlanta.
On Wednesday, Spirit Airlines marked a 4th consecutive day of flight issues. More than 50% of its schedule canceled. According to the website FlightAware, that's more than 400 flights. 6% of its scheduled flights were delayed.
Nobody is saying anything to anybody. Is it going to be rescheduled? Are they going to refund money?
In a statement, the airline says it was proactively canceling flights due to a handful of variables like overlapping operational challenges, including weather, system outages, and staffing shortages in some areas. Meanwhile, travel woes also hitting American. The airline says planes and crews stuck in other cities due to weekend storms in Texas are being repositioned, causing delays, cancellations, and nearly 100 diversions through Tuesday.
So 62,000 passengers with canceled flights, nearly 50,000 of them because they didn't have the pilots available, trained, and ready to roll.
The Allied Pilots Association blaming multiple storms, pilot shortages, and strict scheduling that limits the number of hours crews are allowed to work. The snowballing disruptions hitting airlines as they adapt to a surge in summer vacations.
We went from famine to feast, and our management team wasn't prepared.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Spirit Airlines says it's working around the clock to get back on track. Well, Target's offering its 340,000 U.S.-based employees a free college education. The retailer said Wednesday that all part-time and full-time team members will be eligible for debt-free undergraduate degrees, certificates or certifications, free textbooks, and more, with no out-of-pocket cost on their first day of work at Target starting this fall. The debt-free offering includes 250 programs from over 40 schools, colleges, and universities. Target will also pay up to $10,000 a year for master's programs. That's awesome. Uber rebounds after a dismal year of pandemic-related losses. Yesterday, the ride-sharing app posted its best-ever quarterly numbers. Revenues reached almost $4 billion as ridership bounced back and its delivery service expanded. Shares of Uber still dropped as the company continues to operate at a loss. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. It's time for What the Tech. Water insecurity affects hundreds of millions of people around the world, but just like magic, one company is turning air into water. Ashley Stromier reports.
Water, it's something you might not think twice about and could even take for granted. According to the United States Geological Survey, the average American uses between 80 to 100 gallons of water a day for drinking, showering, and more. Others aren't so lucky. The CDC found more than 884 million people around the world don't have access to safe drinking water. But one company in Spain's life-saving machines are offering a solution, turning air into H2O.
Nosotros copiamos la naturaleza.
We replicate what nature does. We replicate the cycle of water.
82-year-old Enrique Vega is the inventor behind these seemingly magical devices, which suck in air and cool it to the point where it turns into condensation, producing droplets of water. Smaller versions of his machine can make up to 19 gallons of water, while the larger ones produce roughly 1,300. To put it in perspective, that means almost 1,400 people can get a full day's worth of water from the big machine alone.
We're gonna try to turn it on and hopefully it's gonna work.
And the devices are already being put to work, helping refugees in Lebanon and communities in the African country Namibia.
We have the first drops of water, so I don't know if you will see the condensation happening.
While similar machines exist, they require low temperatures and high humidity to function. But Vega's models can operate in environments of up to 104 degrees with extremely low humidity.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Oh, Ashley Stroh turning out to be a regular here.
I know.
I love that.
That's twice this morning. We'll take that.
She does great work. Live look over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. Mostly cloudy skies are going to remain with us for the duration of our Thursday. It's been very, very comfortable so far, 69 degrees. And we like that humidity is below 90% this early in the morning. As far as what we're seeing on the old, don't freeze on me, thank you. A lot more 70s on the board than where we started. In fact, look at Nevada. Now jaunting all the way up to 71. And it's a great morning to be out and about because our air quality has substantially improved and just a little southerly breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we kick into the Skywatch Storm Tracker, let's talk about what we've got on the far western edge here of southeast Kansas, where we have picked up just a couple of raindrops, everything moving down from the southwest up to the northeast. These will be quick. Nothing's going to hang around. Accumulation numbers going to be extremely limited. I'll be surprised if we even pick up 1/10 of an inch here by the time we get to the noon hour. Nationally speaking, big cutoff low on the west coast. That's that circular motion you see on the left-hand side of your screen. And then the jet stream split as it rolls up the east coast on the right-hand side. Look at that line of thunderstorm activity they have. Stretches from the Gulf, wraps through Florida, and makes its way all the way to about Nova Scotia. Thing's pretty impressive right there. It's nothing tropical by any means, and they don't have any flood warnings. That's just, it's pretty impressive in scope right there. Our severe thunderstorm risk is simply going to be some scattered showers for this afternoon. Nothing to worry about as our ground is so dry it'll be able to absorb it very, very quickly. Eventually we'll get the skies to clear off here, but that's not really going to be until tonight. So here we go, in between, say about noon, 5 o'clock, begins to just pop up, and we don't see any yellow, orange, no red. We're not going to have any thunder, lightning, anything like that. But I'd throw the umbrella in there if you haven't taken off as of yet. And then we will prepare for a heat wave. Now, Friday is not going to be bad, but then look at that, 93, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way into the middle of next week. Overnight lows, those 60s are going to be a thing of the past, too. We're just going to roll 70s. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The CDC is warning of possibly more than 2 million new COVID-19 cases over the next month. It also says the Delta variant now accounts for 93% of all new U.S. infections. A growing number of cities and states, including Illinois, on Wednesday, announced new mask and vaccine rules and mandates. CBS News has learned that some new New York lawmakers, including fellow Democrats, are ready to start the process of impeaching Governor Andrew Cuomo. The New York governor is accused in a state attorney general's report of sexually harassing at least 11 women, including staffers and a state trooper. Investigators say an overloaded van apparently carrying migrants crashed on a remote South Texas highway, killing multiple people and causing injuries. A Texas public safety official says the van was speeding when the driver lost control on a curve and slammed into a metal utility pole and a stop sign. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Temperature is going to be very mild today. Mostly cloudy skies, only the low to mid 80s. And remember, don't be surprised if you don't run into a couple raindrops here. It's noon to about 5, 6 p.m. And then let's prepare for the heat wave. as by the time we get into the weekend, we're going to be rolling mid-90s.
Scientists say they found one of the world's rarest species of chameleon in Malawi. Chapman's pygmy chameleon was thought to have gone extinct from deforestation, but a team from the South African National Biodiversity Institute and the museums of Malawi found the animal in 3 forest patches. This chameleon blends into the leaves and only grows to about 2 inches. Scientists say the ones they found are isolated within their own location, making it nearly impossible to breed. The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists Chapman's pygmy chameleon as critically endangered.
Well, I would hope it would be if they thought it didn't even exist anymore.
Right. Well, and it's so hard to find them, too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank you all for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Well,